Today we're taking a look at these college basketball matches, which are happening on Tuesday, December 13, 2022, and giving you match breakdowns, betting tips and predictions in general on these games. Welcome back to High Stakes. Before we dive into our video, don't forget to subscribe and push that notification bell to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos. Also, check out our perks and join the High Stakes membership. Joining the High Stakes membership is easy, is cheap, but it will help a lot in the growth process of this channel. Plus, if you would like more betting tips and predictions, then check out our Patreon in the link down below. Our new Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. Multiple plans are available for each and every one of you. By becoming a member of the High Stakes Patreon, you will have access to our best team picks, total picks, parlay picks and much more. Stop wasting hours of your time searching for bad betting predictions that ends up costing you a lot of time and money. Join the High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks. Going back to our video, we will give you 2 betting picks for each game, a team pick and a total pick based on facts and detailed explanation. One more thing before we start, check out our new channel High Stakes Props and Parlays, where you can find our player props and parlay picks predictions. You will find the link in the description and comments section below. And make sure to watch our videos till the end so you don't miss any of our picks. UNC Greensboro vs Marshall. Marshall is one of the hottest teams in the nation, having won each of the last 9 games after opening the season with a loss. Tevian Kinsey is a tough player who is leading Marshall in scoring with an average of 24.9 points per game while shooting an impressive 55.3% overall and 42.9% from behind the three-point line. The Thundering Herd are shooting an above-average 47.3% overall and are grabbing 42.4 rebounds per game, while in contrast, UNC Greensboro is scoring 65.4 points per game while shooting only 39.4% and pulling down an average of just 36.2 rebounds per game. The advantage here is obviously Marshall's. Although UNC Greensboro covered the number in its most recent outing, the Spartans failed to cover each of the 4 previous games. Take Marshall Thundering Herd minus 2.5 points. Styles make fights, and this game is a story of 2 different types of play. Marshall gets up and down the floor with 2 elite scoring guards. They average 82.1 ppg, pushing the tempo to play at the 15th fastest in the nation, according to KenPom. UNC Greensboro slows the game down offensively, playing at the 231st fastest tempo, relying on their stingy defense to try to keep the game close. Marshall has more talent and will be able to speed this game up, dictate the tempo, and try to make the Spartans catch up in the second half. Take over 141 points. Iona vs Princeton. Princeton opened the season with losses to Hofstra and Navy, but the Tigers have been outstanding since then. They were slight favorites in both losses to Hofstra and Navy and have been favored in every game during their 8-game hot streak. Princeton has covered the spread 4 of those 8 games, with one of them not having a Vegas spread due to it being a non-Division I opponent. The Tigers were 15.5-point favorites against Monmouth on Saturday, and they had no trouble covering the number in a 91-54 final. They are amid a 6-game homestand that concludes on New Year's Eve. The Tigers have been an outstanding offensive team, ranked number 45 of 363 Division I teams nationally in effective field goal percentage. They are knocking down 56.3% of their 2-point attempts and are also hitting nearly 35% of their 3-pointers. Princeton has done an outstanding job of taking care of the ball, ranked number 53 in turnover rate. The Tigers are facing an Iona defense that is number 19 in defensive field goal percentage and number 27 in turnover percentage. Senior guard Ryan Langberg leads Princeton with 12.1 points per game, while junior guard Matt Alaco is adding 11.0 points and 5.6 rebounds. Iona got off to a slow start to the season as well, losing 2 of its first 4 games. The Gales were favored in both of their losses to open the year, but both spreads were within 2 possessions. They have won 5 of their 6 games since then, including an 84-62 win over St. Louis as 1-point underdogs last week. Iona took the lead midway through the first half of that contest before rolling to the 22-point victory. The Gales were able to back that performance up with another dominant win on Sunday, rolling to a 72-57 win over St. Bonaventure. Princeton has been shooting the ball very well, but it is not balanced enough to keep pace with Iona in this matchup. The Gales are an extremely tough team to deal with as they play at one of the fastest tempos in college basketball while also playing strong defense. Princeton relies on its hot shooting numbers to win games, which is not going to be enough to get past a defense that ranks inside the top 20 in the country. Iona has more experience than Princeton as well, which could be a key factor in a neutral site game. The Tigers have only covered the spread in 5 of their last 15 games, while Iona has covered in 5 of its last 6. Iona minus 5.5 points. Princeton has won each of its last 8 games thanks to a strong offense that is averaging 77.1 points per game. The Tigers are shooting 48.0% overall, which is 59th in the nation, and 34.9% from behind the three-point line. Tosin Ebuonwin is scoring an average of 13.4 points per game to lead Princeton and shoots 50.0% overall and 25.0% from behind the line. Ryan Langberg is scoring an average of 12.1 points per game and shoots 41.2% overall and 31.3% from long range. Only one other player for Princeton averages double figures. Ebuonwin is also the dish leader with an average of 3.4 assists per game. Princeton is averaging 11.7 turnovers per game. Iona is scoring an average of 78.4 points per game, which is 81st in the nation. The Gales are shooting 47.5% overall and 36.5% from behind the three-point line. Dennis Jenkins is the leading scorer for Iona with an average of 17.6 points per game. Jenkins is shooting 47.5% overall and 41.4% from behind the line. Walter Clayton Jr. is averaging 16.0 points per game while shooting 45.4% overall and 41.0% from behind the line. Jenkins is the leader in assists with an average of 5.1 dishes per contest. Iona is averaging 10.5 turnovers per game. The total has finished under in 4 of the last 6 for Princeton, and as mentioned earlier, the Tigers are allowing an average of only 62.9 points per game. The total has finished under during each of the last 2 for Iona, and the Gales are allowing an average of only 63.0 points per game and 38.7% shooting. Iona has held opponents to as few as 50 points, and in each of the last 4 games, the Gales have allowed between 56 and 62 points per game. Take the under here. The Citadel Bulldogs vs North Carolina Tar Heels. The Citadel Bulldogs are seeking their first win against a power conference opponent. They have endured a challenging schedule that includes losses against Clemson and Butler. The Bulldogs had a 2-game winning streak end in an ugly 79-57 home loss to Charleston in their previous bout. They were 13-point dogs in the loss. The Citadel's best win occurred against Charleston Southern. They have covered the spread in 2 of their last 3 bouts. Stephen Clark is thriving, eclipsing 20 points in 2 out of his last 3 performances. The senior forward has now reached the 20-point mark on 4 occasions and is sporting an average of 16.3 ppg and 6.8 rpg. Austin Ash is also capable of scoring big points. The senior guard scored 22 points in the win against Charleston Southern and has reported an average of 15.1 ppg on 38% shooting. Elijah Morgan has scored double digits in 2 of his last 4 clashes. The senior guard has filed an average of 9.1 ppg on a 39.7% mark from the field. The North Carolina Tar Heels have found the win column. They snapped a surprising 4-game losing streak with a convincing 75-59 home victory against Georgia Tech on Saturday to cover the 13.5-point spread. The Tar Heels' 4 defeats in the recent losing streak all occurred against power conference foes, including an overtime loss against Alabama. Saturday's win marked the Tar Heels' first victory against a power conference foe. They have covered the spread only 3 times all year. Caleb Love is a big scoring threat. The junior guard has eclipsed the 20-point mark on 4 occasions this season, including 34 points in the defeat to Alabama. Love has recorded an average of 18.1 ppg on 40% shooting. Armando Backett made his return on Saturday after missing 1 game due to an injury. The senior forward has 5 double-doubles on the season and has accrued an average of 16.7 ppg, accompanied by 11.3 rpg. RJ Davis accumulated 22 points in Saturday's victory. The junior guard has scored 40 points in his last 2 performances and has amassed an average of 16.1 ppg and 5.5 rpg. Pete Nance has netted double digits in 3 straight clashes. The senior guard has delivered an average of 12.7 ppg and 6.2 rpg. The Citadel Bulldogs are competitive and have been a reliable squad to back this season. The Tar Heels are having a wildly inconsistent season and have only covered the spread in 3 games all season. They were ranked number 1 in the AP Top 25 earlier in the season and have now dropped 4 out of their last 5 games. Furthermore, the Citadel is solid defensively and is containing the opposition. They are limiting foes to only 39.9% shooting, which is 66th in DI. The 3-point defense is spectacular. Opponents are only shooting 30.5% from deep against them, which is the big key here, because the Tar Heels' biggest weakness in the offensive end is definitely the 3-point accuracy. They are shooting an abysmal 28.8% from beyond the arc. UNC will get the win, but this is a huge spread for a team that has not looked nearly as dominant as expected. Take the Citadel Bulldogs plus 25.5 points. The Citadel have been one of the worst teams in the rebounding category, and they have trouble keeping opponents off the offensive glass. North Carolina is a good team at turning offensive rebounds into quick points and shoot at a very high percentage down low. The Citadel is not a good team at stopping opponents in transition, and, again, North Carolina is a good team at converting turnovers into fast break opportunities. The Citadel is an above-average team shooting from deep, and North Carolina hasn't been good at holding opponents from beyond the arc. What I think ultimately pushes this total over the number is the high free throw shooting of each of these teams. With both teams having an average tempo, I expect both offenses to run how they have planned. Play the over in this matchup at Dean E. Smith Center. Take the over 144 points.